Summer of 2007. Dnepropetrovsk, Ukraine. A mother wakes up at 5 in the morning and finds her daughter's body on the street. A 48-year-old cancer survivor calls his wife, says he's going to visit his grandson. He never arrives. 2 teenage boys go fishing on a summer afternoon, and only one comes back alive. In just 3 weeks, 21 people lost their lives. Not to war, not to disease, but to 2 19-year-old boys. And when police finally caught them and asked why they did it, their answer was as simple as it was chilling, because they enjoyed it. This is the story of Viktor Sayenko and Igor Suprunyuk, known to the world as the Dnepropetrovsk Maniacs. Before we go any further, we need to say this up front. We're telling this story out of respect for the 21 victims who lost their lives and their families who carry this tragedy every single day. We are not here to sensationalize. We are here to understand how this happened and what warning signs were completely missed that might have prevented all of it. Viktor Sayenko, born March 1st, 1988. Igor Suprunyuk, born 6 weeks later on April 20th. Both grew up in Dnepropetrovsk, an industrial city of about 1 million people in central Ukraine. On the surface, completely ordinary. Middle-class families going to school. Nothing that would make you look twice. They met in school and bonded over something specific. Both had been bullied, and they both had this intense fear of heights. Most teenagers would talk to their parents or maybe see a therapist. These two came up with their own solution. They'd go to a 14-story apartment building and stand on the balcony for hours, leaning over the railing, trying to stare down their fear through sheer brutal exposure.
That right there is your first clue. It's not that they're trying to overcome fear. That's normal. It's how they're doing it. Their brains are already wired to seek out intense, risky, extreme experiences. They are not looking to manage the fear. They want to dominate it and overpower it through the most extreme method possible. That need for increasingly intense stimulation just to feel anything? Classic pattern in people who go on to commit violent crimes.
There was a third person in this story, Alexander Hanja, also born in '88. He had his own fear, hemophobia, an extreme fear of blood. When Suprunyuk heard about this, he suggested Hanja could overcome it, the same way they'd overcome their fear of heights, through exposure. But the exposure he had in mind wasn't therapeutic, torturing and killing stray animals. From their mid-teens on, Sayenko and Suprunyuk systematically hunted down stray dogs and cats and tortured them to death. But here's what makes this so disturbing. They documented everything. Photographs of themselves with the mutilated animals, drawing swastikas in the blood, Nazi salutes. Some photos even showed them mimicking Hitler. These photos existed somewhere, on their phones, computers, maybe printed and shared.
This is the single biggest missed opportunity in the entire case, and people need to understand why this matters. Systematic, repeated animal cruelty, especially when it's documented, when there's no remorse, when they're proud of it. That's one of the strongest predictors we have for future violence against humans. The FBI has studied this extensively, and it shows up again and again in violent offenders' backgrounds. But here's what's so frustrating. They weren't hiding these photos, which means someone at some point almost certainly saw them. If just one person had reported what they saw, and if there'd been any intervention or consequences, or even just a psychological evaluation, 21 people might still be alive today.
After school, they went different ways for work. Sayenko became a part-time security guard. Suprunyuk worked as an unlicensed taxi driver. and Hanja bounced between jobs. But their criminal activities didn't stop. They escalated. They started robbing passengers in Suprunyuk's taxi. Small stuff at first, phones and pocket change. In March 2007, Hanja committed 2 armed robberies in a nearby town. But for Sayenko and Suprunyuk, robbery was getting boring. They wanted a bigger thrill.
Classic escalation pattern. Each crime gives you less of that rush you're chasing, so you need to push further, something more intense, more dangerous, more taboo, just to get back to that first high.
Late night, June 25th, 2007. Ekaterina Ilchenko, 33 years old, is walking home after having tea at a friend's place, taking a route she'd walked 1,000 times. Sayenko and Suprunyuk are out for what they later called a walk, but Suprunyuk brought a hammer. What kind of walk requires a hammer? As Ekaterina passes them, Suprunyuk spins around and strikes her in the head. 1 blow. She dies almost instantly. Her mother finds the body at 5 a.m. Within 1 hour, 60 minutes, they kill again. Roman Tatarevich is asleep on a bench right across from the public prosecutor's office, literally across from law enforcement. They beat him so savagely that when his body is discovered, he's completely unrecognizable, nothing left of his face.
2 murders, 1 hour apart, tells you the first killing didn't deliver the rush they expected. So they immediately go back out and escalate the violence significantly. That overkill, obliterating his face when he's already dead, that's not about killing anymore. That's desperately trying to feel something and not finding it.
3 days later, on June 28th, 2 more dead. Alexei Kovbasa, 69, and Valery Krivospitsky, 53. Then, on July 1st, they hit the nearby town of Novomoskovsk. 2 more victims, Yevgenia Grishenko and Nikolai Serchuk. Police still aren't connecting these murders, because the victims seem completely random. Different ages, genders, locations, no obvious pattern. Then came July 6th, the deadliest night of the entire spree. 3 people murdered in just a few hours. First victim, Igor Nechvoloda, 21 years old, just discharged from military service, walking home from a nightclub thinking about his future. They attack near his apartment, bludgeon him with a hammer more than 15 times, and when they're done, they draw a swastika on his forehead in his own blood. His mother finds him the next morning. Second victim that same night, Yelena Shram, 28, working as a night guard, just doing her job. According to Sayenko's confession, she's walking toward them when Suprunyuk pulls the hammer from under his shirt and strikes her. She falls. He keeps hitting her. She's carrying a bag with clothes. They take it, use her clothes to wipe the blood off the hammer, throw it away. Third victim, Valentina Hanza, 51, mother of 3 children whose disabled husband depended on her for everything. She was everything to that family. 3 families destroyed in one night.
By the time they're killing 3 people in one night, any psychological barriers are completely gone. Killing has become normalized, routine. It's just what they do now.
July 7th, 2007. 2 14-year-old best friends, Andrei Sidyuk and Vadim Lyakov, decide to go fishing near a village called Pithorodin. It's the middle of the day, a beautiful summer afternoon, just kids being kids. Sayenko and Suprunyuk attack them. Andrei is killed, but Vadim runs, hides in the woods, survives. He does exactly what you'd expect a terrified 14-year-old to do, run straight to the police. What happens next is one of the most infuriating parts of this entire case. The police don't believe him. This 14-year-old child who just watched his best friend murdered, who barely escaped with his own life, they arrest him on suspicion of killing Andrei. They deny him a lawyer, and according to reports, they beat this traumatized child to try to extract a confession.
Tunnel vision at its absolute worst. They had a survivor, an eyewitness who could identify the killers, and instead of using that information, they're traumatizing him further. Meanwhile, the actual killers are still hunting, and this failure almost certainly cost more lives.
Eventually, witness statements from later attacks came in, and police finally realized their mistake. Vadim had been telling the truth all along. Despite everything, despite being beaten by the people who should have protected him, this incredibly brave kid still cooperated. He worked with investigators to create detailed sketches of the attackers, and his courage would be crucial to solving this case. Let me tell you about Sergei Yatsenko, because his story shows you exactly who these killers were. Sergei was 48, lived in a village called Taromsky, and he was a survivor. Years earlier, he'd been diagnosed with cancer, a tumor in his throat. The treatment saved his life but left him unable to speak for a long time. Sergei wasn't the type to sit around. During recovery, he found ways to help. Small construction jobs, fixing cars, weaving baskets, cooking for his family. Devoted husband, father of 2 sons, grandfather, and he took care of his disabled mother. By July 2007, he was finally getting his voice back, looking forward to the future. July 12th, at 2:30 p.m., he calls his wife and says he's filling up his motorcycle, then heading to visit his grandson. Simple plans, normal day. By 6 p.m., his phone's off and he never arrives. 4 days later, they find his body. What makes Sergei's murder different is they filmed the whole thing. The extended footage shows them in Suprunyuk's taxi parked by the roadside. Suprunyuk looking through binoculars, scanning for prey, posing with a hammer, then hiding it in a yellow plastic bag. They wait for 20 minutes, just waiting. Then Sergei appears on his bicycle. The attack lasts over 4 minutes using a hammer and screwdriver. Sergei loses consciousness and regains it multiple times. And at one point, one of the killers turns to the camera and smiles.
That smile is the most damning evidence in this case. It's not nervous laughter or a stress response. It's genuine pleasure. He's experiencing joy from another person's suffering, which is the clinical definition of sadism. Combine that with complete absence of empathy, and you're looking at one of the most dangerous personality combinations in criminal psychology.
After, the footage shows them walking back to their car, casually discussing what they've done, like they're talking about the weather. They seem mildly surprised Sergei is still breathing. Part of this video leaked online as 3 guys, 1 hammer, and it remains one of the most disturbing pieces of footage ever on the internet. July 14th, Natalia Mamarchuk, 45, is riding her scooter through woods near Diovka when 2 men appear, knock her off the scooter, beat her to death with a hammer, and steal it. But this time there are witnesses. Children playing nearby see it. Local residents chase the attackers, though they lose them before police arrive. The descriptions match exactly what Vadim told them. Finally, the pieces are coming together. Between July 14th and 16th, bodies are discovered at an alarming rate, sometimes 2 a day. Final count, 21 confirmed murders, 8 more survivors. The city is paralyzed with fear. Parents won't let kids outside, elderly terrified to leave home. Nobody feels safe because the victims are so random that anyone could be next. Throughout the spree, they'd been stealing from victims, phones, cash, whatever they could sell, taking everything to pawn shops around the city. Police had distributed Vadim's sketches to these shops, told them to watch and call immediately if they see matches. July 23rd, 2007, just 28 days after the first murder, Igor Suprunyuk walks into a pawn shop trying to sell a stolen phone for 150 hryvnia, about $30. The shop owner recognizes him from the sketches and calls it in. Suprunyuk and Sayenko, waiting nearby, are arrested on the spot. Hunter is arrested at home where he tries to flush stolen phones down the toilet. 3 weeks of terror, 21 lives, ended over a $30 phone.
The narcissism got them caught. They kept all that evidence, videos, photos, recordings, because destroying it would mean destroying their sense of power. But that same inflated ego made them careless about basic things, like not pawning stolen phones at shops specifically watching for them.
When police searched their homes and devices, they found everything. Dozens of videos, over 300 photos, all documenting their crimes. Selecting victims, stalking, attacking, killing, laughing during and after, posing with bodies. The actual weapons, hammers and steel bars, still had blood and tissue on them. DNA matched multiple victims. Clothing with victims' blood, personal belongings, years of photos showing animal torture, Nazi salutes, swastikas in blood. The evidence was overwhelming. The trial began June 2008, held behind closed doors, because the evidence was too graphic. All three initially confessed, but Suprunyuk later withdrew his. When it came time for pleas, Suprunyuk pleaded not guilty to everything, while Sayenko and Hanja pleaded guilty.
That not guilty plea from Suprunyuk shows extreme narcissism, a delusional belief he could outsmart the system, even facing life in prison for 21 murders.
The prosecution's case was airtight. Over 300 photos, multiple attack videos, forensic evidence linking weapons to victims through DNA, survivor testimony, eyewitness testimony. The videos showed Suprunyuk attacking while Sayenko filmed, then both casually discussing it after. Extended footage of Sergei's murder showed premeditation, literally waiting 20 minutes for a victim. The defense tried everything. Claimed confessions were tortured, videos were fake, massive conspiracies. Sayenko's father, a lawyer, held press conferences claiming cover-ups at the highest levels. Defense suggested 10 more murders couldn't be linked to their clients, implying another killer. When Sayenko and Suprunyuk claimed they didn't recognize people in the photos and videos, Judge Senchenko simply said, "You're not blind." None of it worked. Remember Vadim, beaten by police but still helped? He identified both in lineups by appearance and voice, described the ambush in vivid detail. Children who witnessed Natalia's murder gave matching descriptions. An elderly survivor testified her dogs saved her by barking and scaring attackers away. Real people, real testimony, all consistent. February 11, 2009, the verdicts came down. Igor Suprunyuk, guilty on 21 counts of murder, 8 armed robberies. Animal cruelty, life plus 15 years. Viktor Sayenko, guilty on 18 counts of murder, 5 robberies, animal cruelty, life plus 15 years. Alexander Hanja, guilty on 2 armed robberies, 9 years. The families immediately appealed with press conferences insisting their sons were innocent, claiming frame-ups and conspiracies. November 24th, 2009, the Supreme Court of Ukraine upheld the life sentences and dismissed all appeals.
The question everyone asks: what drives two 19-year-olds to murder 21 people in 3 weeks? Initially, they claimed robbery, said they needed money. But investigators saw through it. As the killing escalated, money became less important. What they finally admitted was simpler and more disturbing. They enjoyed it. The intense psychological rush, adrenaline high, overwhelming sense of power and control, and the thrill of documenting it so they could watch again and again, relive those feelings whenever they wanted. Textbook thrill killing, murder for the excitement, the rush, the control, not for money or revenge. Look at victim selection: elderly, children, homeless, drunk, incapacitated, alone. Ages 14 to 69, gender didn't matter. What mattered was vulnerability and inability to fight back. They wanted guaranteed dominance, easy defenseless targets, complete overpowering with zero risk. All that tough guy posturing, Nazi imagery, bravado. They were cowards who only attacked people who couldn't fight back. Classic psychopathy traits, no empathy or remorse, manipulative, poor impulse control, superficial charm that made them seem normal. But there's more. They weren't just indifferent to suffering, they actively enjoyed causing it. That's sadism. Psychopathy plus sadism is one of the most dangerous combinations in criminal psychology. The filming aspect is crucial. This wasn't just killing, it was capturing it, possessing it, owning that moment, being able to watch over and over, trophy taking, feeding massive narcissism, this grandiose belief that what they were doing was important enough to document. The pattern was there from the beginning, years before their first human victim, photographing themselves with dead animals, swastikas in blood, documenting cruelty and violence. Same behavioral pattern, only the target changed, escalating from animals to humans.
Alexander Hancha was released in April 2019 after serving his 9 years. He is reportedly married with children now, and when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, he enlisted in the Ukrainian military. Viktor Sayenko and Igor Suprunyuk were serving life sentences. September 2024, shocking reports emerged from the National Police of Ukraine. Both Sayenko and Suprunyuk had been recruited into the armed forces, despite being life sentence prisoners, convicted of 21 murders. They signed military contracts, got weapons and training, then they escaped with those weapons. Right now, they are considered armed and extremely dangerous, possibly in the Dnepropetrovsk or Kirovograd regions.
If these reports are verified, this is a catastrophic failure on multiple levels. Recruiting life sentence, sadistic thrill killers and giving them weapons and training. War doesn't fix their psychology. If anything, it gives them exactly what they've always wanted. Sanctioned violence and easy access to vulnerable populations. Looking back with hindsight, the warning signs were there. Red flags and missed opportunities that could have prevented these murders or caught them sooner. Biggest missed opportunity, systematic animal cruelty for years before their first human victim. Those photos existed on phones, computers, maybe printed and shared. It's almost impossible to believe nobody saw them. If one person had reported it, if there'd been intervention or consequences or psychological evaluation, 21 people might still be alive. Second opportunity, clear escalation pattern happening in the open. Extreme fear-conquering methods, years of animal torture, armed robberies, then murder. Each stage could have been an intervention point. Third failure, what happened with Vadim? If police had believed him instead of arresting and beating him, if they'd acted on his information immediately, they could have caught them days earlier. That failure almost certainly cost more lives. But there were things that worked. Their narcissism was their downfall. Couldn't destroy evidence because it would destroy their sense of power. Got careless about basics like pawning stolen phones at shops, specifically watching for them. And Vadim's courage, despite being beaten, he helped create those sketches. When Suprunyuk walked into that pawn shop, the owner recognized him from those drawings. That's what broke the case. Before we end, we want to remember the 21 confirmed victims and 9 others whose names were never released, but whose lives mattered just as much. We also remember the 8 survivors living with trauma and the countless family members, friends, and community members forever changed by the summer of 2007. If you want more cases where we tell the full story and break down the psychology, subscribe to Profiling Brothers. Thanks for watching.